Okay, what you just heard was a trouble beep. 5 short beeps every minute. Let's talk about your user manual. If you do not have one, you can go to our website, alltechalarm.com, scroll to the very bottom, and download the user manual for the Concord 4. Read through it and get familiar before you have beeps driving you nuts, because you never find the answer when you're under that kind of pressure. So all the trouble beep means is something is wrong with the alarm, and we have the status star blinking. So if we touch it, we see that the motion detector has been tampered. That means it's been removed from its base, and any of your door and window sensors that are wireless also are tampered in the same way, because that cover that encases the radio transmitter and the battery, well, that's protected, and we need to know as part of the security process if anybody's been monkeying with it. So it just increases your security, but it's important that you understand that if you find there's an issue, go and correct it, and you see that the star has stopped flashing on the keypad. So if we hit star now, we see the system is happy. So a couple of things you'll find in the user manual. First of all, on page 5 is a list of shortcuts. Very helpful. Make a couple of copies of it. Memorize the functions you use all the time. And keep one thing in mind. Most people are using a keypad with the arming buttons along the right. They are simply a duplicate of the functions of 1, 2, and 3. So disarm is exactly the same as if you were to hit 1. 2 is the same as stay. 3 is the same as away. So to give you an example, if I hit 2, enter the code, we're armed to stay. And if I hit disarm and I enter the code, we're disarmed. So it's more of a convenience feature to give people separate buttons, but the main keys also perform both functions of entering your code as well as arming the system and setting up secondary functions. And that shows right on the cover of the pad on the door, which is a little bit out of view here. Next thing that's kind of important to know, status obviously is a no-brainer. That always tells you what's going on. And when all the doors and windows are closed, this is what the system should look like. If you've had an alarm, another thing that we can talk about real quick is bypassing. The easiest way to bypass is if a sensor is open and you want to bypass it. Maybe it's a window at night in the summer, or maybe a sensor is broken, or you got a new door and the guy that did the door took away your old door with the sensor partly attached to it. Whenever you have a sensor that cannot be used and the alarm's going to say not ready, if you try and arm it, it's going to go into protest. And that protesting is an obnoxious beep, and it's going to beep like that for 5 minutes, and if you don't do anything, it'll bypass that door on its own. But if you want to stop that beeping and arm your alarm, you just hit pound. That's called indirect bypassing, and that is on page 18 of your user manual. Trouble beeps are on page 66 of your user manual. So remember, all the things that you're going to want to know are going to be there in your user manual. So before you have any trouble, take the time, familiarize yourself with it, and you'll have a much better experience.